Good evening, everyone. It's Teresa Crane with Jeremiah Dreams. I know I'm coming to you a little bit late. It's been kind of a busy week so far, and I just thought I would, even though it's a little bit late, take a few minutes just to unwind and paint and just have you join me while I do that. I hope you guys are having a good week. I'm having a good week. It's just been a really busy week. I'm trying to get my tablet where I can see your comments. Make sure my volume is turned down. It's always not. But we'll get it fixed here. Bear with me just a moment. Maybe we are good. Let's see here. Hopefully that's got it taken care of. Anyway, I haven't been able to work on this in a few days. It's just kind of been crazy busy, but I thought I would unwind a little bit tonight and just kind of get lost in this painting. I've got one more stained glass window to do, but that's a very tedious process, so I didn't think this would be a good place to really do that because I have to really concentrate when I do that. And I'm not sure, hold on a second. Make sure this is lined up good. There we go. But what I have in mind is to add some elements to the landscape. That's kind of been something I've been rolling around in my mind. And as you guys join me tonight, if you will, please let me know you're here, who you are, and where you're watching from. I would love to know. So what I thought would be kind of a neat thing to do is to tuck a little cemetery in here. I'm reminded of chapels like up in the Smokies that have these little older cemeteries. In fact, you probably won't believe this, but I actually have a little cemetery right across from my house. It's a family cemetery. And there's some really old headstones over there. And I just love looking at old headstones. There's just history that just is sitting there in the stone itself, in the engraving that's on there. When you look at the years of that person's life and when that occurred, it's just fascinating to me. And so I thought it would be kind of neat to have a very small little cemetery here. Nothing major, but just kind of hiding back in here. So let me get some paint. And of course I'm going to go with some gray. And I don't want anything super dark right now. I know that this is a sunset scene. So we're going to need it to be a little dark, but nothing major. And we're just going to kind of sketch it out right now with a little bit of gray paint. So let me just get my brush. And I don't want to use a really wide brush since I'm just going to be doing kind of some sketching things. And I'm probably going to use sort of a medium gray, I think. But I'm talking, it's just really going to be small. Just some little headstones going to be peeking in behind this bush because I don't want it to be a major focal point. It's just going to kind of be a little bonus part. And I know that in the headstones that are across the street from me, a lot of them are just very simple. They're just very plain, and they have a rounded top. And one thing that I have found interesting about some of these older cemeteries, there's a few across the road too that are from hi Angie, I'm glad you're here. They are of infants that passed away, and I don't know, there's just something about, I just wonder what that story was. If they were just sick, if they fell sick suddenly, if, I don't know. Some of these old headstones are so worn that you really can't see the dates very well. And then I'm going to have one just kind of in behind this bush. Because I don't want to take away from this bush right here. So I'm just kind of sketching in and placing them right now. And then detail will be added a little bit later. But I just love the old styles. I'm just going to have a hint of one peeking out right here. I hope you can see okay, because I'm truly just sketching in right now. You may not be able to see real well, But as this comes to life, maybe put just one more, at least for now anyway, and then we'll go back and see how it's all kind of coming together. And I think it's really important too to think about the size of these in relation to where they're at in the landscape compared to the chapel. And I'll probably add some hint of what would look like engraving on the front after I kind of get the shade to where I want it to be. So that's just kind of got some, maybe just one more right here. It's kind of peeking out. Okay. All right. And I may go back and add maybe a different style. I'm thinking like a white cross, because I've seen some of those kinds of things in some of these older cemeteries too. I mean, there's just not a lot of variety in these older cemeteries, but there's just maybe 2 or 3 different styles. Let me put a little pedestal right there. Okay. I think the next thing I'd kind of like to touch on is maybe adding a little more to these bushes and start to begin to flesh those out a little bit. So I always like to start with a dark color, and we've kind of got that laid in, and then I like to kind of go back and add some lighter elements that'll begin to add some depth and definition, and just kind of play around with that a little bit. And I'm just going to keep it loose, just keep it free, because I don't want to cover up all of that darkness. I want to keep my shadows in there, but kind of thinking about where light might hit. Just kind of add some of that in there. And then I'll probably add a couple of more shades of lighter in there too. And I haven't decided if this is probably just going to be some ground right through here. Probably add another bush or 2 to accent this chapel, but I'm not settled on it yet, so I'm not quite ready to go there with it. Okay, let's see, do I have some lighter green already laid out? Let's see, I probably need to pour some. Do that. Here's a good color, a good shade of green. Let me get some of this going. So, Wanda, how are you today? I'm glad you're here. Where are you watching from? Let me know. I would love to know. I'm adding a little bit lighter green that's gonna kind of make some of these other colors just stand out. And I think I'm going to change brushes. I want something just a little finer. So I want to add just a little bit of detail. Let's see here. And you just kind of feel your way through that. I just try to... And that's, like I've said before, that's kind of the nice thing about painting, is if you start something you're not real happy with how that looks, it's so easy just to paint over it and just kind of start afresh. Start getting into my element here, and I just kind of get silent. I don't mean to, but I start kind of just concentrating. And the other nice thing about going ahead and adding those headstones in behind this bush before painting this bush is then when you're kind of painting from the background forward, and you need to paint some of these lighter tones, even as they kind of extend over on top of a headstone. That just kind of adds the reality of the depth of everything. It makes sense when you do it that way. And when you're painting bushes, leaves, grass, it takes patience. It's easy to want to just kind of get in a hurry. And I found when I get in too big of a hurry, things begin to look like a blob instead of, you know, the blades or the leaves. And so it's just good to just kind of slow down, take your time, don't worry about getting through things quickly. That's easy to do, especially when you get to doing like this and you're just kind of putting in little lines and stripes and such. I like how this color is looking though. And I can even, after I add this, I can even go back and add a little more depth and some darker if I feel like I've gotten too much light going on there. But as I get a little closer to the chapel, I'm probably gonna not put as many light strokes in it, with the concept that light is hitting from here and it's gonna be darker on this side of it. And I was thinking I need to add some steps coming up to the door, and I want to add a little path that leads up to the door. Okay, I kind of like how that looks. I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna add a few little things here. Not sure why I didn't add some lighter tones there, but let's fix that. And the reason why I'm going ahead and adding lighter tones close to the chapel here is because this tree is more in the distance, so it's receiving more light than this bush is that we just did. It's all about how you kind of think about how things are positioned and where shadow and light is. Oh, that's looking pretty good right there. I'm gonna add some lighter tones here. And I'm not gonna really go rogue with these. I'm gonna just kind of follow some of the patterns that have already been laid in, just to let this be some enhancement. And it's good too to have your lines and your strokes go in different directions. I've had a lot of people ask me what this flower is right here. They've seen it in the live, and this is one of the knobs, one of the drawer knobs, and it's kind of a ceramic styled flower, so I don't want to paint over it. I think it's so pretty like it is, so I'm gonna just leave it and just allow the portrait to just be right in behind it. But notice how when I add the lighter green here, and you may not be able to see real well. I wonder if I can turn this a little bit more. Maybe you can see. Is that a little bit better? Maybe, maybe not. Hey, Marianne, how are you doing? When you add lighter tones right next to darker ones, they just feed off of each other. It just really kind of pops. I think that's looking pretty good right through there. I'm gonna have to go back and add shingles to this roof and more shadows to define some of these angles and corners and stuff. But let's see kind of where we are with these little plants through here. I need to do something with this tree that's hiding back here. It needs some character built in. So let's go ahead and add some light tones while we're here. Give it some life. I know this is a lot later coming live to you than normal. I usually try to come on about 6, and work just didn't allow me to do that. So maybe if maybe a lot of you are going to be able to catch the replay on this. I hope so. And I'm really liking how this light green is just adding life to these plants and bushes. And we're going to add more as we extend over this way. And I don't know if you've ever thought about this, but a lot of the painting and such goes on in my mind before I ever pick up a brush. I have to really think about it. So if I get on a tangent of painting on it consistently, and then I kind of step back from it for a little while, it's because I got to think about it. I've got to think about the character that I'm wanting to implement next and kind of how to go about it. And then if I feel like that this is too much of the light color, I can go back and add some darker tones. I want to be careful right around this roof line because I don't want to mess up anything I've done there. So if you guys enjoy painting, if you've done some painting, let me know. I'd like to know kind of if you do and what you like to paint. Share that with me. Oh, I really like that. I'm feeling good about this. It's really added some character there. Hey, buddy. My little puppy dog is over here giving me loves while I paint. He's a good boy. I don't know if y'all can see, but he's got his head laying on my arm while I'm painting. I think he's, can you see this? I think he's wanting some attention. You're kind of spoiled. You're a spoiled baby, aren't you? Just cracks me up. Okay. Extra. Okay. Let's see here. I'm really thinking I want to work on some steps next. Hey, Stephanie, how are you doing? Jessica, how is it going, girl? Who else is with us? Mary Hopkins, Richard Toone. Sorry about that. Hit a wrong button. Typical for me. Okay. And I think to play it safe, I'm just going to sketch in kind of how I want the steps to be first. I don't need help. So I'm just going to kind of sketch in some rectangles and then I can go back. I want to put in a platform, you know, where you're actually going to step on a step. And I'd rather go a little bit light to start this initially, just in case you want to make a change along the way. It may be a little easier to cover it up. And you can kind of see that the progression of the steps is kind of working at an angle. It's just looking kind of like a ramp right now, but we're going to go add some detail in here that's really going to define the steps as they come along. In case you don't know, I'm sitting on the floor to work on this project. So after a little while, okay, you need to back up, baby. Come on, let's go this way. Here we go. Good boy. Yes, good boy. All right, I'm going to take some darker gray. I'm going to start defining some of these, like in between the steps. I think I would have a line right through here. You can see it's not much darker than what I already had going, so that'll make it easy to make corrections if I need to. And then I think I want this, let's see. Think about where the high rise is. Yeah, I'm liking that. side over here to be darker. The whole thing darker because it's in a shadow. Oh, I really like that. Okay. And then I'm probably on this bottom part of the chapel, this is going to be the foundation. So it's going to be a darker color too. So I might lay in some of that while we're here. I may need to get a little bit wider brush for filling in those sections. Let me try that. So if you aren't able to join, I'm still working on this chapel that's part of a buffet. I'm trying to see which. And I just thought I would bring you guys in here to kind of see what we got going on with it and kind of where we are. Using a wider brush. And when you use a wider brush, you want to let the outside edges kind of be your defining lines. Let the brush do the work for you. Okay. I think that's going to look pretty good. All right. Boy, that's really taken a whole new look, hasn't it? Okay, I want to, before I go, I thought it would be fun to kind of add some of this path that I've been thinking about. Think about what colors I have here. Let's see. I think like I said, in keeping with starting with a darker color, we'll start with a pretty dark brown. This is a brand new bottle. I've never even opened it. So let me see if I can get this little, I wonder if I've got another one that's open. Probably do before I start. Nope, that's a new one. Here's one. This will work. Kind of just lay out the sketch of it. I think I need to change angles a little bit so I can get to it. Hold on, bear with me just a minute. Might have been easier if I'd had a way to set this up on a platform, but I just didn't, so just work with what we have. There we go. Now I can get to this part a little bit easier. So now I'm just going to kind of lay in a path. I'm just going to sketch it out. Again, I'm just going to keep it pretty loose. So when you sketch, sometimes it looks a little bit messy, but when you start adding in the detail, that's when it really kind of all comes together. want to be sure and smooth out any lines that the brush and the paint create. And I don't really think I want it to be a total straight line. I think I want it to kind of curve and have some interest. I'm kind of seeing in my mind that this area through here would be wider. Kind of just smoothing out some of these strokes. Just allow this little path to come and meander over this direction. I don't know, I guess I'm kind of thinking about Little House on the Prairie back in the day when that was a big hit on television, and kind of thinking about the chapel and the schoolhouse there, kind of how, which I know where that scene took place, it was pretty prairie-like and a lot of dust and sand and have this kind of join. Begin to fade, try to get it to fade a little bit. May have to add a touch of water. Change the shape of it too, I think. Adds interest. Kind of scrub that in and smooth that line out some. And I'm going to add some greenery through here, so that's why I'm not too worried about that. I like that. I think I want to add a little more dirt right in through here. I just don't really like for things to be so defined. Like I like for it to kind of peak and meander and all those things. Makes it more realistic in the way I see it. Well, we've been on here for quite a while, but we've gotten a few things done, and I thought it would be kind of fun to have you guys join me on this much of it. I will try to come back to you again a little bit later on in the week and see where we are, and see, has anyone else joined us? Hey, Kathy, how are you? Sharon? Let's see, Stephanie and Jessica. I think I already said hello to you guys. Well, anyway, this is just kind of where we are with it, and I will just plan to see you guys again on Friday. Probably, that's what I'm thinking, Friday evening I'll be back. So I hope you have a good rest of your week, and just try to stay dry in all this rain. But you guys take care, and I will be talking to you soon, okay? Have a good evening. Bye-bye.